Please.
Okay, I'm Joe Zamiska. I'm here, I'm the closest property owner to this tower. And it seems like the Tower Co. proved their point about, meeting the codes and all that, but this is, from a little personal point of view, I'm 250 feet from this tower. If you can, the property owner, with the three names on it is me, the one above it is my son. Across the road, they got the names wrong on here, but across the road, they got relatives, I got friends. I'll be coming out of my house or walking through the house, any rear-facing window, I want to see this thing. I know that's pretty basic, not everybody's in that situation. My mother across the road, my friends and other relatives across the road, they're going to have to see this. This is Cecil is ranked number 8 in the country, number 1 in Pennsylvania. Making, putting this kind of thing up, reducing property values isn't gonna, if we want to maintain that, this is maybe unnecessary. That's just my personal opinion. Even for the future, I'm not gonna be around forever. My daughter's gonna want my place someday, possibly. And their kids gotta grow up. And they're talking about, I know we can't address the health issues, but they're already, there are health concerns, and there are already 16 towers around the area within a 4-mile radius. That's, I don't know, I'm not the engineer, but I'm just thinking of it from a personal point of view. I'd like to also, well, John already spoke a little bit, but John can elaborate on this stuff. Him and I visited a lot of the residents. A lot of them had a review of this, like, Mr. Fisher said before, you used to looking out and seeing trees, now you're going to see a tower. It is probably not necessary. At least we feel that as residents. Most of the residents that I've spoken to.
Can I ask a question that just occurred to me? Does Verizon share towers with AT&T and Sprint, or does everybody get their own individual tower?
They're required or mandated by the FCC to share their facilities. And this tower is going to be constructed not only for Verizon, the platforms will be available to Cecil Township, to Washington County, and to other users.
What's the closest tower? And I'm not just talking Verizon in general to the one that you're going
Roughly,
to.
Nate, can you just
You can down at Westwood News, there's one straight ahead.
That's what I was thinking.
And this one's gonna be right in line.
The nearest tower is due north. We call it the Nice. It's 1.4 miles.
And it's a Verizon. You have.
Verizon equipment's on there.
Verizon already operates on this.
What's it called?
That's the original tower that I did some 20 years ago. Is it the Clapix?
Oh, Clapix.
Yes.
What about the opposite direction?
I can't speak to the south. To the east, Verizon Wireless is operating on a site by the name of South Point. It's on Lewicki Road, and that's 1.45 miles away.
And what about to the west? Is that the one that's right next to?
I believe there's one in McDonald
Yeah, it's right by Timber.
on Proccio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I look right out my front door at it every day.
I'm not sure exactly how far it is from this proposed site, but from the site to the north, which we call Denise, it's
Dennis?
Dennis, sorry, 2.25 miles from that site.
I think the question was, not just only yours, there's one on Grillo Road right down here by Ricing Road, with the 4-lane.
I'm not familiar with that site.
You can see the concern though. I mean, you're
Absolutely.
1.4, between 1.4 and 2.25 miles from the next closest tower. So are we going to end up with cell phone towers every mile? I mean, that seems a little bit absurd.
There's more of a demand for platforms, whether they're towers, they're pole attachments, water tanks, building and rooftops. There are more sites in need, yes.
I mean, I'll be honest with you, and this is probably too much information, but had I really thought about it when building my home, I really would have considered not building directly in front of a cell phone tower, because like they said, you look outside and instead of seeing a great line of trees, I see a red blinking tower. it's not the best of
Believe
you.
me, I appreciate the concerns, and that's why we take a lot of time and we address the lighting issues specific to this site. We're not going to light the site, but I can assure you, Ms. Fisher, that this is applicable throughout Western Pennsylvania and throughout the country. There are challenges upon networks, and we need platforms. The technology is not likely to change in the near future. Motorola invested billions of dollars in a low-orbit satellite system called Iridium. I think the Wall Street Journal dubbed it one of the biggest failures in modern-day business. So the reality is, you're going to need platforms. You need infrastructure to place the equipment.
But like Supervisor Fisher said, why 200 feet? Why not something that blends in more?
Topography. In order for these sites to communicate, they have to see each other
I guess
for handoff purposes.
I'm still struggling with the question that I brought up earlier, which is you're doubling up or whatever coverage when you already have existing coverage. I'm really struggling to
Well, in that
understand.
area, there's some coverage, but further south, there's really no coverage. That's what the map depicts, is you have white areas, which really does not generate a call, does not access the network.
But if your picture that you provided to us is accurate, you're not really getting into those areas. You're reinforcing, or I forget what
Well,
word you
I
actually used.
think, without getting into an engineering discussion, which I'm certainly not qualified.
I'm not either, but I need to understand because
I
they
think
do
that
that.
the important question is, and I don't know how to really answer this for everybody's edification. I mean, sites are built for coverage, where you need to generate calls, but they're also built for capacity reasons. Bandwidth upon which the network is structured is very narrow. In order for those users to access it, you need multiple frequency, you need multiple users, and continue to reuse that system. So in today's world, as I said, 20 years ago, you had a fraction of the sites that we have today. We're having more and more users rely on the network on a daily basis, not just for personal use, but for business use. That requires more sites, that requires more radio frequency.
That's my concern, though.
I understand.
Exactly what you just said.
Yeah.
If we allow this site to come in, then what's to stop the next site, the next site, the next site? And next thing you know, we have every farm in every development, in every mile, you have a cell phone tower.
That's the challenges of siting in Western Pennsylvania. And what I hear you say is what I hear in Peters Township, what I've heard in Fox Channel recently, is how are you going to address this going forward? And all we can say is we're going to work within the confines of the township ordinances. This is just one layer of approval. There are multiple layers in order to get this far. We have to gain state approval, SHPO approval, there's a NEPA process, there's a federal requirement, there's an environmental requirement internally. So a lot goes into siting. This is one of the last pieces of the puzzle. And believe me, I appreciate the concerns. We don't take it lightly. We recognize that there are going to be concerns, and that's why and I would invite you, and I'm happy to participate in examining the ordinances every few years because the needs have changed. The industry has changed. As I said years ago, it was a 400-foot tower that directed on the directional signal. Today, they're coming down. You're seeing more systems that are built with what are called distributed antenna systems, which are smaller structures. Unfortunately, in this area, you really don't have the infrastructure in the field in order for that to work. You have small cell
What kind of
technology.
infrastructure?
Well, if you're in the city of Pittsburgh, let's say in Oakland, with the University of Pittsburgh, there are a series of light poles in a very concentrated area. You're talking about a quarter-mile radius upon which the signal needs to propagate. You have all those students and faculty and travelers through the Oakland area. You have a built-in infrastructure with power lines that you can mount equipment on that provides signal. So that's where the technology's changed, where the sites are shrinking in height. But in an area like this, which is still pretty rural in nature, and in a community like this, you just simply don't have those platforms. If we had a taller structure in the area, I can assure you that they would not be put there rather than build a new structure.
I have a problem with this site, which is similar to what Cindy has discussed, but somewhat different. This site is, as you know, 200 feet from the property line to the south, and I can't tell, 700 feet perhaps, to Cumer Road. this property owner is going to reap the benefits of this lease. But in spite of that, or maybe regardless, the road is against the property line on two sides and as close as permissible for the actual site on the south. Now, since these property owners are not reaping any benefits from it, why does it have to be at that location? Why can't it be more centrally located on the property?
Good question.
It's a good question.
Good question.
That is a good question. The property owner, James Osella, wanted the access road not to go through the middle of this field, like most people with substantial acreage don't want anything right through the middle. So he kept the road on the outside. What he did keep is the tower itself inside the natural tree line buffer. See, that was one thing he wanted. He didn't want the tower in the middle of the property.
So he doesn't have to look at it, but we'll, everybody
Yeah,
else.
that's
has to.
exactly what I was thinking. I mean, so basically, he's benefiting financially, and he's benefiting in that he gets to put it on the farthermost corner of his property and right next to his neighbors.
And we pay for it,
Correct.
property values and everything else.
Yeah. I mean, because if it's in the back of Mr. Osella's property, somebody comes to purchase his home, they're not going to notice it, it's not going to be a big deal. Somebody comes to purchase Mr. Zamiska's property, they're going to look out his back window, see a cell phone tower, and not want to buy his home. That's, I mean, that's
Light of
not,
his property.
I hate the word fair, but that's not fair.
To answer your question,
I hate that.
to answer your question directly, we negotiated with the property owner, and he had 100% of the say where it had to go. We just advised that it had to meet the Cecil Township ordinance. So it was his desire where he wanted to place it.
It was his desire and you didn't care.
It was his desire to keep it away from his house.
It's his problem. I had to work correctly with him. So, but the one thing he did want to do is keep it inside the tree line. So there's a rather large natural tree buffer. From the aerial photo, you see a rather large tree buffer.
There's
It's a natural-
200-foot trees that are going to cover the cell phone tower.
I mean, I'm sorry, it's probably about 50 or 60 feet.
You're still going to see it.
You can see through the woods. I live right there. You
Yeah.
can see through the woods, especially now with the leaves.
I mean, you can understand the frustration, and you can understand where these people are coming from. And if you notice, I don't think Mr. Osella is here because he doesn't have a problem with it. It's at the very back of his property. He's not going to see it. The road doesn't come anywhere near his home, so it's not going to affect him. But yet, it's right on the border of Robert Louise's property. It's right on the, it runs right through the back of the Diego property. I mean, that's not. I don't know what else. It's not right.
The wiggly line in this drawing, immediately west of the site. Do you see that? Is that the tree line?
Yes, the tree line is shown, yes.
Okay.
It's just a few feet
Well,
to
that-
the west.
Yes, so
There's a real nice
that property, or that site could easily have been extended northward and even a little further west and be in the tree line and would not be as close to the Zamiska property and definitely further from the Diego property.
The tree line, Mrs., is approximately here,
So why not move it on the other side of the tree line?
this way out to, the property owner did not want the tower in the middle of his field.
So what?
I mean, you can't have your cake and eat it too.
The property
You
line.
can't,
The
property owner.
property owner wanted it in the tree line to create a natural buffer.
For him.
For him.
For everyone, for sure.
But you can't, I mean, he can't benefit financially and then put the burden.
To the detriment of
Oh,
the
yeah, put
adjacent
the burden on the
property.
neighbors.
Let's, just for a moment, recognize that there are certain parameters of the ordinance that we have to work under. And in addition to that, there are other requirements, as I stated, with respect to state agencies and federal agencies. There's an existing ordinance in place. We have to work with a property owner to come to terms on an agreement and then demonstrate to the township and to those other agencies that we're in compliance with not only local law, but state law and federal law. That's the challenge. Believe me, I've been doing this a long time. I've said
So
it
are you
numerous times.
saying that this is the only site on his property that's
I did
acceptable?
not say that. I said that's what
I'm
the contract
asking you.
provides for tonight.